Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about CDPR and Cyberpunk 2077. There has been some changes within the company and leadership regarding the game. A lot of things has been happening and we have a lot of things to cover, so let's go through it. And if you enjoyed the video, by the end, if you could please leave that like and subscribe button, it would be very helpful. Now, without further stretching this out, let's go into the video. So, first things first, Cyberpunk 2077 gets a new game director. Adam Badowski, who was a game director before, actually stepped down to now focus on other leadership duties within CD Projekt, including the company's new strategic development framework. And the person who's actually going to take that power is Gabe Amantangelo. Now, if you were actually following the news prior to Cyberpunk 2077 release, you know that Gabe Amantangelo initially joined CD Projekt to actually work as a creative lead on the online/multiplayer version of that game. Now, after the release of the game and all of the problems the game had and everything which is now happening still with Cyberpunk 2077, I guess he stepped down from that role and now is actually a creative director at CD Projekt Red, who is actually in charge of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, if you don't know who Gabe Amantangelo is, before he did work in BioWare. He was a creative director and design director from June 2013 to July 2015. He was the lead designer in BioWare as well. He also worked as a creative director at EA from 2005 to 2015. Now, after that, he actually went to make his own game. He was actually a game director and creative director of Breach. Now, Breach was sort of a 4v1 multiplayer game where you have 4 people, trying to go through the level, and you had one player which is kind of a game master controlling the game, and that person also controlled the monsters and was trying to stop the heroes of actually achieving their goals. Now, sadly, that game never actually got the funding which was needed, and I actually had the alpha of that game, and it wasn't that bad, but obviously, they just couldn't get the funding for that project. Now, he joined CD Projekt Red in January of 2020, and it's interesting that he was actually posted as a creative director. He does have that experience. Now, how is that going to actually, change Cyberpunk 2077, and how is this going to influence everything that they have for us in the future, including the free DLCs and expansions and updates, which are definitely needed, especially for the console versions of the game. We shall see how that is going to go, and it's going to be interesting to see what is his vision going to be around all of this. Now, in order to obviously judge this, we have to wait until those changes are made, but it's actually strange to see Adam Badowski step down from this, because Adam Badowski was a creative director for a very long time in this company. Now, as I said, he's gonna stay within the company, but he's going to focus more on the business and, scaling size, jobs, and not actually focusing a lot on developing or, directing video games. So Gabe is actually going to take his position. In other news, we also found out that Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, one of the OGs in CDPR, actually announced today that he's going to leave the studio. Now, Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, this is what he did. He was the QA for The Witcher 1, he was the quest designer for The Witcher 2, he was the quest design lead for The Witcher 3, he was the game director for Thronebreaker, and he was the quest director for Cyberpunk 2077. Sadly, he actually left the company today. Now, he also said this: "Big career update. After 12 years of work at CDPR, I've made a decision to leave the company and to look elsewhere for new adventures. This decision didn't come lightly, but I feel like it's time for change." When I first applied to CDPR, I was a confused high school graduate who didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. It was my first real job. I liked it so much I stayed for 12 years, and it was set a clear path for me. I'll always be grateful for this opportunity. Throughout the years, I had a chance to meet many wonderful people whom I'd like to thank. Without all of their hard work, patience, and help throughout the years, I wouldn't get anywhere. There are too many to tag, and many of them don't even use Twitter, you know who you are. I also worked on some very exciting titles. In the process, I learned a lot, but there is also more to learn and do still. I don't know yet where I will go next. For now, I'm planning to spend some time recharging before I move on to the next exciting thing. This is actually sad. It saddens me, but at the same time, I'm happy for him because he's actually going to do other stuff like, you know, sometimes just get tired of actually doing this thing, and especially like we don't know like what kind of internal problems CDPR has now or the company, because those things don't really go out in public. Now, he's definitely gonna be missed, and honestly, I'm excited to see what he's gonna do next because he was in charge of some of the most, you know, well-made quests in the Witcher franchise, and he's someone who definitely gave a huge contribution to the Witcher that we know and love. You know, people have been saying me like whenever like OGs, like big developers who worked at the company for a very long time start to leave, that's usually like red flags. That always means like the company is going to, not going to bode well. And I mean, obviously in the past those things were actually the case. Now, obviously it's gonna be interesting to see how is this going to influence everything CDPR does in the future, especially now that he left and we have Gabe Amantangelo working as a game director. So yeah, this is pretty much what's been happening within CDPR. Obviously, regarding the updates for the PlayStation Store, recently they've said again that they don't know when is the game going back to the PlayStation Store, because ultimately that's up to Sony. That will probably depend on their next updates, and even then, like even if the game runs well on PlayStation, I'm probably thinking there is some other internal issues between these two companies, and it's probably gonna take some time until this game actually comes back to the PlayStation Store. So I wouldn't actually hold my hopes up for at least a couple of months, maybe more, depending on the amount of updates and, well, internally what CDPR and Sony come up with. We don't know those details, sadly. So yeah, this is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. I have a Horizon Forbidden West video coming later today. I'm gonna leave this video to cool off a bit on YouTube, and you can expect that video as well. Also, I'm working on a Dying Light 2 video where we are going to go through everything we had seen recently in their presentation. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click that like and subscribe button. Also join us on Twitter and Discord. We go into details about everything there. We have a really nice discussion, so everyone is welcome. And also, if you want to support the channel in an extra way, you can go to Patreon. I have a link down below. And huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.